Greetings and salutations, everyone! This is Trooper SJP, and this is the Academic Foxhole, and I hope everyone is doing well. Welcome, happy Saturday. This is Saturday when we do the PS4 gaming, and right now we are doing Dragon Age Inquisition. We've been doing this for a while, and I think that we are, getting to... Hey! Alright. Oh, yeah, I just heard about that, actually. That is really sad. I just heard on the news, right before I started, that Adam West died on Friday of leukemia at the age of 88. And that is really a bummer. That makes me sad. Yeah, Adam West, besides being a great Batman, was a voice actor in one of the first video games I played on the Xbox. So when I started playing. I was playing in arcades way back in the day, and my first console was a ColecoVision, because the ColecoVision was like the cheap console because the Atari was very expensive. And then I didn't play on consoles. I mean, I still played on my ColecoVision, but I didn't get another console until the Xbox. So I missed all of that Nintendo stuff that all of the younger folks were all excited about and invested in. I missed all of that, and I didn't do the PS1 or right. But I got this A Night in the Woods. All right, thank you. But I got thank you, PH. So I got the Xbox, and I picked up a couple of the games, like the beginning, the first, like they just sort of got out. Picked up, of course, Knights of the Republic, which I really liked. But this game that I got, that I still really like it, even though I think the first mission's not, like the difficulty is not pitched right for that first mission. But it was 13, the French game with David Duchovny, I think, is the lead voice actor, and who's the co-lead? Well, let me see. I probably have it right here. No, that's Still Life. Where's 13? Oh, here it is. Let me see. The voice acting was David Duchovny, and hold on. It had like a really great soundtrack too. The soundtrack was by oh, now you're asking me all these actual details. The point being is that Adam West was in it as well. He was like the general, like your sort of buddy, your ally, sort of mentor type, and he was really great. I mean, I remember playing it and thinking, wow, I didn't know he could also voice act, but he did such a good job, and it's a real bummer that he passed away. But he was 88, and he had leukemia, so I'm hoping that he died in a way that was painless and it is better. So, R.I.P. Adam West. Yeah. Hey everyone who's here. I hope everyone's doing well this Saturday, and I have to end exactly at 3-ish, maybe 3:05 today, because today's the second Saturday of the month, and I'm playing Call of Cthulhu tabletop after this, so it's like my long day. So what are we doing? We've been let's continue. We've been doing a lot in Dragon Age. We just finished up. Hey, Cupcake Therapy, how are you? I hope you're doing very well. Welcome to the stream. And now you make me want cupcakes. But I don't think that's a bad thing. But now I'm gonna think about, what would be really delicious? A chocolate cupcake with, German chocolate cake, how it's got that, sort of, coconut nut sort of frosting thing. I think that would be a really good cupcake right about now. Like a chocolate cupcake with that kind of coconut nut brown frosting, which is super delicious. I would be excited for that right about now. Sadly, I do not have any cupcakes, and it's my fitness summer. So maybe I'll get a cupcake after, like, I don't know, as a reward at the end of the week. I don't know, next week. We will see. So we've been doing lots of stuff, actually. It feels to me like we have gone really, really far in the game, and we're getting close to the end. I don't know how much longer we have, but I feel like we've done a lot. We have some DLC, I think, to do still. But I think we should find out what happened to our missions. We had sent people on missions, and up here is the identify the Venatory agent, which is that one that we've been doing for like ages, and last week I did the logic puzzle grid to figure out who it was. So let's find out what happened. Let's see. Forgive me for being a little sniffly. It is super cold in my apartment. Identify Venatory agent, an excerpt from a Ben Hassrath information report. Target was eliminated, and as expected, all other targets went into hiding. Duke Tythus did not locate our operatives during his search. Information the Duke found on the corpse revealed the smuggler's Venatori involvement. Duke Tythus has cut off trade with the Teventa Imperium and is thoroughly investigating his city. Hunter Fell is no longer subject to Venatori influence. Per his request, Operative Iron Bull will receive further intelligence reports to continue his efforts. Supplies from Saharan have also been dispatched. So we just got a new helmet for Iron Bull, which seems exciting, and we've got a bunch of influence. Good for us. What is this? Support from Navarra, report ready. Letter delivered to Skyhold. It was a pleasure meeting with your representatives. We are happy to lend the Inquisition our support. Tyrion Veneto, on behalf of His Grace, Duchess Amalia. And we get a Navarran toy soldier. I'm feeling like we're very, very practical and good. This is wonderful. And in Ferelden, I think it's just like a gather herbs. And we get some spindleweed, right? No big deal. So we need to send some people off to some things. What do we have? Gather coin. That has been completed. Investigate the Frostback Basin, which is new. That's been completed. What is this? Hinterland resources available, not so interesting. Completed. Falamai resources, again, not so interesting. Completed. Crestwood resources, that's completed. Gather herbs. Red Templars on the Storm Coast. Disaster in the Deep Roads. Scout the Storm Coast. So I think actually Disaster in the Deep Roads is DLC. Red Templars on the Storm Coast seems like it could be good. Completed secrets, completed forces, completed secrets. So I think we should go and do that Red Templars on the Storm Coast thing. I do know that we should go to the Hissing Wastes, but we could just do that thing. It's only 4 influence. It may not take a long time. Make contact in the Emerald Graves. We should probably do that. Completed. Emprise de Lyon resources. Gather cloth. Gather leather. Investigate the Exalted Plains. Wicked Eyes, Wicked Hearts. That's a big plot thing that we're going to need to do. It looks like a big one. Completed. Investigate the Exalted Plains. Completed. See, look, I think we've done a lot of stuff. All that's completed too. I'm feeling really good about where we are game-wise. Completed. Here Lies the Abyss. That looks like a big deal. Hissing Waste resources. Find the Source of Darkspawn. Completed. What is this? Completed. Western Approach resources. Gather metals. So actually, I think we've done a really good job. Let's, I think what we should do is just try this one about the Red Templars on the Storm Coast before we go to the Hissing Wastes. I think we should just do it and see what's up. Because maybe it won't take long. Red Templars on the Storm Coast. Reports indicate that Red Templars have taken over an old dwarven fort on the Storm Coast, granting them a foothold in Ferelden as well as easy access to the Waking Sea. The port itself provides a strong defense from outside attack. A full assault by our soldiers might eventually yield results, but not without high casualties. A smaller group, like a group of adventurers, may have better luck infiltrating the stronghold. So let's see. Let's use forces. We do not want to draw attention too soon. My agents will find a way to enter the stronghold without alerting the Red Templars. Versus forces, small initial attacks could secure the surrounding area and distract the Templars from our larger plan. Hey, Remption! Hey, how you doing, battle buddy? um, thanks for being here. It is so good to see you. Hey, Remshin. Remshin, do you live on the east coast of the United States? I feel like you do. Like, now maybe you don't, and I'm just making that up, but I really feel like you do. Because if you do, then I want to know if it's cold where you're at. How are you doing, Remshin? Um, our agents have acquired access to the Red Templars' foothold on the Storm Coast. The Templars feel themselves secure. It's time to prove them wrong. And now we have... Would you like to gather your party and venture to the Storm Coast now? Let's do it. And we're going to bring my boyfriend Dorian, because I always bring him. We're going to bring Cassandra, because she never dies, although she has been dying recently. And then we'll bring Iron Bull, the warrior. Yeah, Remshin, I want to know if you live on the East Coast. Do you live in the Northeast? Maybe you don't. I just feel like you do. I do, and it is cold. Maybe it's only cold in my apartment and it's actually warm outside. I don't know. This is a sort of a large question that I cannot answer. But, you know, I'm just saying that it's feeling sort of chilly. But maybe it's fine. I don't know. It looks like when I look out the window, it looks nice. So, you know, I don't know if I've told you all. I live in a residence hall on campus at the university that I teach at.
We cannot allow the Red Templars to maintain a foothold here.
Oh, you live in a farm in the middle of isolated Wisconsin. Well, that's super interesting. What kind of a farm is it? I'm interested. Is it a dairy farm or like a crop farm? What sort of farm? When I was a kid, I lived in the... Oh, there's a thing. Hold on. I lived in the mountains, and we had...
Inquisitor, if you have a moment.
Sure. Report.
What is it?
Could prove useful, sir.
Salvage ships. I don't know if we actually have enough to turn that in, do we? And I also don't think we necessarily need to, but... Main watchtower. Ooh, that's cool. Let's see. This will restore and improve the large tower for an imposing cosmetic change. Invest in this upgrade to choose between a mage or Templar tower. Reward 1 power. Your cupcake therapy's okay. Your internet's being a derp today, but I'm not in a down mood, so it's all fine. Sorry about the internet being a derp, but as long as we will be happy as long as you are here with us. We have just created this new watchtower, so that's exciting. And salvage ships, we'll do that. Ooh, tasty steak. Nice. Oh, I love a good steak. You know? Like a good steak. Gang, it looks like I can level up all of the people besides myself. This is awesome. We're gonna just level up our peoples, because they were dying recently, and, you know, they should not be dead. So Dorian, I've been making him a necromancer, so we can give him some sort of necromancer powers, probably. What does this do? It's passive, and I think passive is great. Power of the dead. Killing enemies attracts spirits that increase the power of your spells for a short time. That sounds great. What does this do? You have learned to leave enemies vulnerable in their terror. Enemies that are panicked take increased damage from all attacks. Huh. That doesn't seem bad. Let's, well, let's just go down this route for the moment and apply that. And then Cassandra, she has got Templar going on, and we've been leveling that up. She has, let's see, let's do Spell Purge. I don't know how useful that will be for her, especially since I don't think these things are... It's fine, and we will apply that. Let's see. Small-scale sustainable dairy. Oh, we do our own cropping as well. My mother was ill when I graduated college, so I canceled my job and came I imagine the last word there is home. Um, we run out of space on the chat that I get to see, the PS4 chat, runs out of space. So just know that, like, I run out of space. Let's do... I don't know if I can do this. Let's do Devour. Home for a bit. And then apply. I imagine I might... I wonder if I have to what's the word? I wonder if I have to redo the powers on that little thing, or will not they'll do it by themselves. Let's see. They're all leveled up, folks. Yeah, so when I was a kid, we lived, like, you know, hippies, right? So we lived in the mountains of California. And it was not a farm, but we had, also, there's still but we had, you know, we did crops, and we had chickens and donkeys. Well, we killed them pretty easily. That was nice. Oh, that looks like we won't kill that as easily, whatever that is. I see some kind of giant things over there, sort of giant red Templars. But before we do that, I want to go back up here because there's an arrow, an exclamation point, which says mission. So what is this right here? No?
Inquisitor.
Yes?
I have something for you.
Oh, what do you want to tell me?
What is it?
Could prove useful, sir.
Oh, it's a Storm Coast Geological Survey. Which, I'll turn in. It's fine. I mean, even though I suppose I could use these metals for other things, but I will just turn them all in. Okay. Boom. Although, yeah, she's probably gonna just give me missions for days.
Inquisitor, if you have a moment.
Yes.
What is it?
This may be worthwhile.
Iron Survey of the Coast, which apparently I also completed. I have a lot of materials. Yes, I lived when I was a little kid, not like only for not a very long time. I lived way in the middle of the boonies of Northern California. You know, like, we did not have electricity. We did not have hot water. We had an outhouse.
I have something for you.
What is it?
This could help us.
This is a salvage on the coast. Okay, now we're done with that. Yeah, like, so we had an outhouse, no electricity, wood-burning stove. Wow, there are a lot of sort of, like, creepy things hanging out. Oh. Did we just kill that thing? Apparently we did. Yeah, I mean, you know, you're living in a kind of a rural space with a lot of hippies. Oh, everybody's gonna go and attack. I'm gonna just loot this while we're here. And then, take this elf root. I know my friends are murdering people, but I'm just gonna go and, you know. There we go. Yeah, it was an old, we lived in an old abandoned mining town, like a ghost town in California that, like, had like maybe 100 people in it, and was really, where's Cassandra? Why is Cassandra, okay. Let's think about Cassandra right now. I think that her AI is not doing what it needs to do. This is just my theory on the matter, because she's hanging out and not fighting things. And so I need to figure out what her AI is saying, because it's not sending her into battle. Let's see. Character record. Let's do Cassandra and behaviors. So, defend the controlled character. So that's no good. Let's do instead follow, defend, follow. Follow? Follow controlled character. Maybe? Controlled character, Sarah, Dorian, right, okay. So we will have her follow me. I think that will... And then he's following Cassandra. And then... I think we will have Dorian also follow Cassandra. So we'll have everybody follow Cassandra and have Cassandra follow me. I feel like that will be okay. Okay, back. Okay. Yeah, no, it was very rural. It was super old school in that way. I remember, I don't know if I told you all this, but I remember when we would take showers, like we would have this bucket with holes poked in the bottom of the bucket, and then we'd hang the bucket up on a nail, and then we would pour water into the bucket, which would then sort of quote unquote shower on you. And it was cold. And I remember being a small kid being like, this is cold and also miserable. And I was told that cold water showers build character. Yeah. So, builds character? I'm not quite certain how excited I am by that character building process, but yeah. Let's just say that I am happy that I have electricity now. Yeah, but we had goats and donkeys and chickens, ducks, and what else we do? Chicken coop, and then we would grow stuff as well, but then we would also, like, I mean, when I was living up in the mountains, that is also when I ate squirrel and rattlesnake and other random critters that you shoot and eat, I suppose, is the best way. What else would I tell you about that? Oh! Yeah, it was really interesting. It was really interesting. I was very glad, I mean, I'm glad to have sort of lived for a while in a super, super rural place. I think it's good to be in have different experiences, and ooh, look at all this stuff. Loot. I think it's good to experience different parts of the country and different kinds of life. I think it's good. I think it's pretty good not to like have some. It helps for me. It helps build empathy, right? It helps build empathy for different ways of being, and I like that. Now, I don't know. That was also when I did a bunch of, what do you call it? Square dancing back then, actually. It was good times. I like square dancing a lot. Yeah, but now I live in the Boston area, which, actually, you know, Massachusetts has quite a lot of rural, agricultural things going on as well. It is not, it is, Massachusetts is really big, apparently. Look at that water, it's so gorgeous looking. Side note. Really big in cranberry farming, apparently. Like, there are a lot of cranberry farms in Massachusetts, which were things that I did not know before I got here. So, anyway, how else is everyone else doing here? I hope everyone's doing well. So there was this big discussion over on Lauren's Discord. It wasn't a huge big discussion, it was a starting of a discussion that I thought was really interesting, that I did not get to finish because I had to go, sadly, and I don't know, I think I had to work, or I had to do something that meant that I couldn't finish that discussion. There was something I was doing, I don't remember what it was. Anyway, but the discussion was really interesting, and I wanted to... Krellin, let me finish what I was gonna say. Yeah, I wasn't talking about the debate salon. That is not an interesting conversation. I was wanting to talk about this thing that we were talking about a couple of days ago that I promised that I would get back to, and the stream is like a good place to do it. So, a couple of days ago, y'all should have more faith in my sense of appropriateness than that. Anyway, let me finish what I was going to say. So there was this conversation, like maybe 2 days ago, in Lauren's Discord in the show discussion, which I thought was really interesting, and I wanted to continue the discussion here because I didn't really get to finish it because I had to go off and do something or other, and I can't remember what it was I had to do at the time. But it was a really interesting discussion. So the discussion was about PvP in RPGs, in tabletop RPGs. First, let me look at the map where I'm headed. I need to go... Oh, we finally get to go over here! That's wonderful! Which means we can just bamf over here in terms of travel and then head over. Right, so anyway, it was about PvP, player versus player conflict. It was actually about two different things, both of which I thought were really interesting. So it was about player versus player conflict in tabletop RPGs, and then it was also about social roles against player characters, right? So, for example, fast talk against a player character.
They call it the waking sea, because it's said that here the Maker's wrath was awakened.
Well, I haven't seen what happened after I left because I had to go get ready for stream and eat breakfast, so I don't know what happened, but I will find out. However, the thing that I wanted to talk about, because it seems that on Dragon Age days we like to talk about game... Ooh, there's a location stand that I did not even see before. That's awesome. We just got a new logging stand. That's wonderful. I feel great about that. Where are we going on our quest map? North. So, anyway. So there was like basically two... Ooh, loot. Sorry. Loot. There were two related sort of discussions, which I think are really fascinating. One is player versus player conflict, whether that be physical or not physical. And the use of social skills against PCs. So things like fast talk, or intimidation, or seduction, or all those sorts of things, right? So it's about, those were like the two conversations that I thought were really interesting and that I wanted to talk more about. And of course, what I would say is that almost all of this really comes down to what sort of game you're playing and what the player's like. That's like, for me, that's a given, right? That if players are not into X or Y, then you don't have X or Y, right? So like that's just going to take that as a given. And so like if players do not like PvP, then you don't have PvP. And that whatever it is that you're doing should be upfront and negotiated in advance, right? So those are all givens. But that said, I thought I would sort of share some of my thoughts on the matter, which of course also depend. I do think it is important to know what kind of game you're playing. So for example, some games have... So right now I want to talk about physical violence, PvP physical violence. PCs versus PCs that way, so not talk about the social part, but just the physical violence part. Or, if not physical violence, like working against each other, right? So I will say working against each other in a more sustained way, even up to and including physical violence. Hey, new area. That's exciting. I'm not getting that, whatever that is. So we're in a new area. I think we're going to be able to finish up these... We're now getting access to that red lyrium that all this time I could never get access to, and it was bugging me. I love how this looks. So what I would say is, there are games when that's like the entire thing, right? Where Like, I have played in lots and lots of games of
The Red
vampire.
Templars have dug in here.
I'm certain King Alistair would appreciate having them removed from Ferelden's shores.
Then we will do that. So, you know, I've played in lots and lots of Vampire the Masquerade games where people are, you know, plotting against each other, and I've also run games where there's a lot of player versus player conflict. Those things, like, for me, if player versus player conflict is going to be central to the game, that needs to be something that is set up from the beginning, right? Like, for me, if that is going to be something central to the game where everybody is double-crossing each other and, ooh, hi. Then I want everyone to know that ahead of time. If we are not doing an explicitly PvP sort of a game, then I prefer there not to be a lot of PvP. Right? So, I mean, like, if we all know we're going into... Do you hear anything weird? Okay. If we all know... Alright, good. I'm not distracted. What is this? There's a lot of things here. So if I'm going to pause moving for a moment. If I know for a fact... If we all are planning to be in a PvP sort of a game, right, where players are going to be double-crossing each other and out to get each other, then that's great, but everybody needs to know from the beginning and also create characters that match that theme. If we are not doing that explicitly, then I prefer not to have a lot of PvP. But let me be more... But I have to nuance this for a moment, and that is that I think it's really important that people play the characters and be honest to the moment. And if honestly, in the moment, what would happen is a player versus player conflict, then I think it should happen, right? I don't think that somebody should say, oh, this character, like, murdered my mother, but we're not supposed to have any PvP, so I'm not going to do anything about it. Like, I don't subscribe to that. Ooh. Wow. This is exciting. Interesting. Like, I had related the story on the thread about how one player in a game we were playing betrayed the rest of the party, and we were all detectives, and so we fired him. We were like, nope, you're not part of this team anymore, and the player had to make a new character, which he did, and then the new character was fine, and everything was great. But I want to know, like, I'm curious about where that other road would have taken us. We'll just have to double back when we get there. So I do think, like, I really do believe that if in the moment, like, the honest moment says that there will be player versus player conflict, I think that player versus conflict should happen. And I would never stop people from having a PvP conflict that is honest and that reflects what they would actually do. That said, right, because that tends to be how I GM. I think that people should play honestly in the moment as their characters would do. That said, because of the fact that I run things that way, I think it's all the more important... Ooh, I wonder if I can shoot this thing from up here. What do you think? Let's try it. I can. So, because of that, I actually think it's really important to make sure that the characters that are created in the first place are not the kind of characters that are overly antagonistic towards each other, right? So, what I tend to want to do in a regular game is everybody makes their characters, and I try to make it so that the characters have connections to each other, that characters have reasons to fight together, and I tend to be very, very hesitant to allow characters that seem to be set up to just be in conflict with other characters. right? So I mean, like, if we're supposed to be a team and working together, I would not really be cool with somebody saying, all right, hey everybody, we're all a group of ragtag adventurers that are out to do this thing together, and one person's like, great, and my idea is that I'm a serial killer who's going to kill all the other players. I'll be like, nope, that character concept is vetoed, right? So I try to stack the deck in the beginning so that we're not going to have, like, serious, intense PvP if that is not the goal of the game. There's a lot of stuff here. But if conflict then happens when the game happens, I let that honestly, like, I don't stop the players from doing things that are honest to their character, right? So that is...
Many of these Red Templars were good men and women once. A shame to see them corrupted beyond recognition.
Yeah, that is a bummer. Right, so, like, I try to stack the deck in the beginning so that we won't have, like, obvious problems, but then I let people do what is honest to their character in the moment. We have something to read. Unsigned journal. The red potion was bitter and burned my throat. It was nothing like the lyrium I know. There was a hum in my mind, a held note that seemed to course through my entire being. The power it brought was incredible. I felt as if I held all the world in my palm and I could crush it with a thought. Is this what the Maker feels? I can think of nothing else but that power now. A taste of the limitless makes it impossible for a man to be content with the ordinary. Why be what I am when I can be more? Yeah, so I don't... Starletter, how are you doing? It is so good to see you. I hope you're doing well. How is your Saturday going? What is new and exciting? Hey! Oh, Starletter, you're so awesome. I like Starletter's sense of humor. That is all. I feel like we have more of these things to kill, but we're just going to continue traveling and see where it takes us. So I try to stack the decks that we're not going to get, like, heavy PvP, but if it happens, honestly, then it happens. So that's the sort of idea of player versus player conflict. And sometimes it's, like, fine, right? Like, I was running a spy game and somebody wanted to be a double agent, and in that genre, that was totally fine. Yes. Alright, we're gonna go in here and see what this is. I think it'll be... What do we have here? We have a lot of loot, and I do like loot. When it comes to things like rolling social roles against PCs, whether or not those social roles are by NPCs or by other PCs, my take on that one is pretty much I don't think of NPCs as being different than PCs. I don't think of PCs as being special, and I don't want them to mechanically be special. So what that means is if people can make fast talk rolls against NPCs, they should be able to make fast talk rolls against PCs. I don't think PCs get plot armor, right? So I want there always be that sort of consistency. That tends to, unless of course I'm playing a game, unless of course I'm running a game system that specifically gives player characters specialness. And if that is the case, then that is the case. But generally speaking, I tend to like the world to be sort of a consistent world with the players being part of the world, but not special. not like mechanically different. Oh, you just woke up 15 minutes ago. That is not... Are you on the East Coast or West Coast? Either way, it wouldn't matter to me. Although, if you just woke up 15 minutes ago and you're on the West Coast, I would say, why don't you sleep in longer? That would be my thought on that. It looks like we still have... We have some lyrium to destroy. No. Here we go. So what does this mean when it... But now, what does this mean when it comes to how do you put that into practice, right? How do you put into practice that players can be affected by fast talk and intimidate and all these other things? Well, I think it's important for me to remember that, in the Midwest, you know what? That is not super late, and I think sleeping in is great. I also think that we can't get across this without dying. So I think this is the way we got. I think we get here from the other direction. So we will do that on the way back. Right, but I also think it's important that these roles are not mind control, and you don't like. I think Midwest is generally thought of as central part of the country. We're calling it Mountain West. Mountain West. I like hearing new things. So like, unless we're actually talking about mind control, which fast talk is not mind control, I think it's important to sort of keep in mind that we're not talking about, like, we're not talking mind control. And so, but anyway, my policy when it comes to those things against the players, and also what I prefer when I am a player, is that what you do is you just tell the players what the results of the die roll are, and then the players themselves, the players are the ones who interpret what that means. And Mountain West? Wait, Mountain West isn't... Well, I know in terms of time zones, I know it's West, Mountain, Central, East, or Pacific. Pacific Standard Time, right? It's Pacific Standard Time, then Mountain, then Central, then what's down there? Something bad, probably. And then East. So, Starletter, are you in Mountain, or are you in Central? Actually, I could probably do the math. You said 1040? What is it? It's 140? 1, 2, 3. So, wait. It's 1240. 1, 2, Central. Wait.
Nice work with the magic back there, Dorian.
No.
Pretty good at blowing guys up.
It's significantly more impressive than hitting them with a sharp piece of metal.
Hey, whoa, let's not get crazy.
Wait, okay, if you're 2 hours back, that puts you in Mountain, right? Mountain time zone. Yeah, Mountain. Nice. I've always thought that Mountain was, growing up, I always thought that Mountain, oh. I always thought that the Mountain time zone was always sort of like exotic and exciting, like, ooh, the Mountain time zone, like, what exciting things happen in Mountain, ooh. But that's because I was a kid and I got easily excited by things. So it looks like we've got some bad things over there, which we're gonna just, destroy, probably? So for me, I always think that what I will do is I will say, you're from Montana. That's MO. Minnesota. Right, so what I do is I think it's a...
I believe we've broken the Templars' hold here.
There may yet be stragglers, but we've dashed whatever plans they might have.
Missouri. MT is Montana. Minnesota. I was right, Minnesota. Thank you. So, oh yeah. So what I do is I just tell the players the die rolls, and I let them determine how that works out for them, how to justify it in their mind. And for me, that's also a role-playing challenge, right? So if, as a player, somebody says to me, the GM says, okay, this person did a intimidate roll, like this small child did an intimidate roll on you, and you succeeded, they succeeded on that intimidate roll, and you failed on your will roll, let's say. As a GM, I would not say, you feel super frightened of this small child and you're afraid this child is going to kill you, and like, I would not tell the player how to interpret that roll. I would say, okay, this small child who has the knife and is doing these things made this intimidate roll against you, and you failed your will roll. You tell me what that means. And if it were me, I might think, okay, well, my character, knowing my character's history, maybe what is really freaking me out is that Not that I'm afraid the child might murder me, but maybe I'm afraid that I might murder the child, right? There's no way for me to stop this child attacking me without hurting it, and that really is freaking me out, and that is how I interpret the intimidation, that I'm intimidated because I'm afraid of what I might do. It depends. It depends on the game system. Some game systems track amount you fail it by. Some don't. Oh wait, what did I just do? I just did something. Oh, I just discovered an island. Folks, I did not mean to go to this random island, but I just went to a random island that I did not intend to go to. Oh, we're at a random island, folks. And we weren't even finished with, like... We hadn't finished destroying all the stuff yet. Well, we're gonna explore this random island, I suppose. I know, Krellin! Me too! Like, you know when you're just walking down the street, and then the next thing you know, you're on a random island. Well, first let's step back and take a look at this random island. Huh. Wait. I feel like this island is called Dragon Island, and not for a good reason. Let's say vampire. Let's say the kid has 6 successes, all his dice, and you had botched the resist roll. Yeah, okay. But sure, but the thing is, I think it's still up to the player, if we're talking about that, to determine what that means. You just say, hey, look, this kid got 6 successes to intimidate you. I know! I hate when that happens. Okay. Like, I trust my players. Do you know what I mean? Like, I trust my players to, No. Krellin. Krellin brings up a point about supernatural powers. I do think that supernatural powers are a slightly special case because they're supernatural. But I think just basically in the end, I trust my players. I tend to try to play with people who are good and serious role players, and who will. By the way, I'm just traveling this way, see if we can get anywhere, and who will, be honest and do what's right for the character in the moment. And if there was a small sort of child who was able to get 6 successes, that means there's something going on with that child. And as a player, I would come up with a justification that made sense for my character. And as a GM, I would trust my players to come up with something. And what will happen generally is, and oftentimes when I have players who are good, they just tell me what it is, and it's good, and it's acceptable, and we go with it, right? If they are still hesitant, a child can't have 4 charisma and a 2 intimidation. Ooh, as a child, I don't... That might be difficult, right, in terms of character creation. And now also, if we have a child who is in that space, I would hope that I, as a GM, would describe it in a way that is super creepy and intimidating and scary, so that it makes sense. But again, right, I tend to trust my players. Right, I trust my players into... Maybe the child was living a life on the streets in a terrible way. Anyway, I don't tend to play with people I don't trust. And I tend to trust my players to... Yeah, maybe he's a terrible bully. And that's what he does. Oh yeah, right? And so then, we've got a character who's this terrible bully. And, it could happen, right? I could see it. There's some scary kids out there in the world. But again, the point is that I tend to play with players that I trust. And I don't tell them don't dictate to them because I trust them to be honest and to... Are you okay, Iron Bull? And to do what's right without me forcing it on them, right? So I will say, hey, this kid got 6 successes against you and you botched your roll. You tell me what that means. And generally speaking, if, like, I don't tend to play with people who would say, oh, it doesn't mean anything. Like, it doesn't matter that they got 6 successes and I botched. Like, I'm just not afraid of kids.
Let's find the dragon.
Oh, there's
You
good.
are far too pleased about this.
Yeah, so I don't tend to play with people for whom that's how they would react, because that's against the spirit. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's... Yeah, I basically, I tend to play with players that I trust, and I trust that my players will... and I trust that my players will do this honestly, and will make interpretations that will make that work in a way that is true to their character. Yeah. Yeah, exactly, right? So, for example, and I would like to point out, PH, that you did that, right? I didn't do that. Exactly. And I think it's better for the player to do that. Like, the player might decide, you know what, I know who my character is, and my character had some terrible, terrible trauma in middle school, and this kid reminds them of their bully, and they really sort of freak out, and, right, here we go. And that's way better than what I could do, right, as a GM. Yes, right, I mean, this is also fair, Krellin. Now, so with those kinds of things, I tend to defer to the player's interpretation of what that means. And I think that what ends up happening if you do that, if you trust your players and you have... Oh, that is great! Starletter, what were you playing? Tell us what sort of character you were playing and how it went. Obfuscate, you cannot see me. Yay. I'm going to save right now, if you don't mind, because I feel like something bad is going to happen that involves a dragon. So yeah, so generally speaking, like, I just think it's good to defer to the players. I mean, so what but, you know, actually, I will tell you, this is something that is part of my DM's habit in general. I don't tend to tell the players how they feel. And I don't tend to like it when GMs tell me how I feel. I tend to prefer, because that's, for me, that's the internal world of the player. For me, the character's internal world, barring certain exceptions, there are exceptions, but barring certain exceptions, I tend to think that the GM's job is the external world and the player's job is the internal world. And so and I know, and I'm sort of, I'm sort of old school, right, that way. That I think that the GM has, barring exceptions, has priority, their domain is the external world, and can the GM can explain the things that the player sees and hears, but the internal world of that character is the domain of... There's a dragon. See, and now, of course, right, I mean, you may be right, you're not afraid of a spooky door. Now, this is where we have to get into this question of fright checks, right? There are games that have fright check mechanics, and I suppose the question is, do I use them? I use them in certain campaigns and not others, right? So in certain campaigns, I would use fright checks, like if it's a horror campaign.
Stormpost? You Southerners think of cheery names for these places, don't you?
We do. So, what do we do about fright checks, right? And I think that with this one, I think fright checks are tricky. I think some people would just say, my character's never frightened. And for me, if I'm going to use yeah, see, this is what I mean, right? And I actually also think it's about discretion of when you call for a fright check. Like, I am not going to call for a fright check on a door unless there's something really creepy on the door, but also it would depend on the characters, right? So let's say you are normal people who've never really run into the supernatural in any kind of a way, and you've been all there's like a group of you, like there are 4 or 5, let's say, or there are 7 people in chat right now, so there are 7 of you. Yeah. Yes, right, and I think yes, right. So I think this becomes right these other elements, right? So and if you come across, if you guys are normal people and you've been given this mansion as a stout halfling who is a cleric, it would sort of, well, oh, nice. It was my only 2nd session, so I'm really new. That is the best place to be. Really new is so fun and exciting because you really get to just play. Like, that is great. So there's a dragon here, and the last dragon we tried to fight, it did not go well. But I think we're gonna try to kill this dragon and see what happens. And now, but at the same time, I also think that what I think is interesting about the fright checks that I like is that very often the responses are physical responses, in the sense that things like being stunned is a physical response, or some of those things, right? So that feels not so bad for me. But I just basically tend to trust my players, and I tend to trust them to play, and not try to be OP. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're not here for power gaming, right? And it might take you a little bit of time to sort of get with the swing, and then we'll talk about it. We can do some negotiations. For example, if the child bully makes this amazing intimidate roll against you, and I'm like, okay, they made this intimidate roll and you failed your will roll, what do you do? Are your parents still alive? Starletter, is your halfling's parents, are they still alive? Or are they actually all dead? You know, I feel like I've got some things in my inventory. Let's see, I'm equipping nothing really interesting. Dorian, just before we go crazy, I just want to make sure Cassandra has got this big... Okay, it's great. And, well, I suppose we're just gonna go in here and try to kill dragons. Okay, we're doing it. That's it. There's a big kind of dragon, and here we go. Hello. Alright, so we're setting up killing a dragon. Oh, hey. I might want to, take a potion. Hold on. Potion? Potion? Potion. Oh, you know what? I think a lot of people should be taking potions. You grew up in a wealthy family and left to prove that I could be successful without relying on this. Oh, that's cool. Take your lyrium potion. And you should take your mighty offense tonic. And I should kill some people. And also, I should kill everybody with bees. Jar of bees! Oof. Ooh, I need to get out of this location, maybe. This dragon is, seems really dangerous. And I don't want to be near it. At all. He's Taryon Darrington. Oh, that seems really interesting. So, here's this big dragon, by the way, that we are fighting. What do I know about it? It's immune to all disabling effects. It's immune to slowed. It's perceptive. It has spirit vulnerability. And greater electricity resistance. It's poisoned. And it's been sundered. Okay. That's awesome. I wonder, yeah, well, I'm just gonna leave them to it. Oh, but I have a special ability that I can use on this dragon. And I'm going to use it on this dragon. Because I feel like that's a good idea. I hope this will go well. Because, it would be great to do some damage to this thing and not die. Ooh. Hey, Cassandra. Why are you not taking a potion? It's fine. So what did you do in your first adventure? What happened? Tell us everything. I'm a little worried about, I'm a little worried about this right now. It's alright? Hold up, everybody. I feel like people need to be taking potions. Like, you need to take a potion, and I also feel like people are not potioned up enough. Just side note. But we're doing good damage to it. I mean, people are not doing well, but you should spend your... Oop. You have a healing potion that you should spend on yourself, but I cannot see where you are because there's a dragon everywhere. Okay. Oh, gang. Use the healing potion on yourself and Bull. And then I should... Oh, is this thing attacking me? What is that? It is attacking me, which I do not appreciate. Alright, let's see what we can do. Gang. We're, okay, oh, it has got a lot of armor on it, but I think we're doing well. Now let's pause for a moment and see if I can send some bees its way. Actually, I don't know. Let's see. I'm kind of far away, but maybe I can send bees over there to attack it. Let's, confirm some bees. Oh, actually, I think I'd be too far away for bees. Let's cancel that. Bees. Confirm. Yeah, I think I'm too far away. But I feel like some other people should be taking some potions. And I feel like he should take a potion. And let's hope that all of these potions will do something. Ow! Don't hit me! I'm going stealth. I do not have the health for this right now. Guys, this is not my life. No, no, no! No! Hey, Dema, how are you? I just got killed. Which is super inappropriate. Wake up. So this dragon has been really... Alright, hold on. Sorry, that's not what I wanted. How are you, Dema? I wanted to take a little bit of a pause to figure out what I can do about this situation, because people are dead and dying, and it's inappropriate. Oh, is it a bad time, or are we just slowly dying? I mean, I feel like, you know... Alright, I think that I need to get close, which is not something I want to do because I like being far away. And I think I need to get close enough so I can get this healing potion from Cassandra. Pause. Oh, I'm dead. With 4 branching story missions. Oh, that's right. Mm-hmm. So, Cassandra has got powers. What kind of powers does she have? Oh, no, I think I'm still on me. But I'm dead. I don't even know. I'm gonna go and become Iron Bull, I suppose? Oh, Iron Bull's dead. Everybody's dead. Everybody's dead. None of this is good. I need to be sad about this. I'll shield wall. I need to wake up people. I need to find people and wake them up. Oh. 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 We all died, everyone. I was late for my session, so I was asleep in the carriage while I was rushing to join real life. So you missed a battle, but that's okay. After the battle, what happened? So we died, by the way, in that battle, but I feel like we should try a second time. Yes. This thing is vulnerable to spirit damage, so we will see. A little concerned. Well, let's go. And let's pause and have everybody take potions. Take potions. I probably should have used that healing potion a little bit more. And can I hit you with a swarm of bees? Confirm. And here we go. Don't hit me with electricity. I don't like it. It's rude. Ugh. So what is the adventure you're on, Starletter? Like, what is the adventure about? Ooh. I can get some height. And height is really good for my character, if I can get it. Like, I can do a lot more damage that way. No, 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 no. I don't like being close at all. There we go. So yes, tell us about the game. And tell us what is happening. I am going to put my special thing right there, confirm it. And let's hope I can do a lot of damage to this thing, and that we will, you know... Everything's gotten so quiet and strange. They chose one human mage, one human tech, and a troll bruiser decided to take on 2 humans, shotgun cleaver, 2 trolls with cleavers, and a mage. Ooh. You know, I can't see the dragon's health. Oh, it's a... Ooh, somebody's just dead. Let's pause this and see if we can get some people to take some potions to heal themselves. Oh, they're already near dead. Oh, that's a lot. That is rough. I know! There was a time when Cassandra never died, but now Cassandra always dies. Let me see if I can... No, I don't want to be near you. If I can wake her up. Cassandra, wake up! And then pause. Oops, wrong one. Wrong pause. This pause. Cassandra... She's gonna run into battle, and what I don't really want her to do that. I want her to go right here. And then... I will... Oh. And then I want her to go right here. And then, pause. I will have her use her healing up potion and hit all 3 of us. Okay, and now I'm gonna go back to being me. And they didn't have the troll bruiser to back them up. Oh! Well, thank you for being here, Starletter. It was really nice to have you here while you were here. This, Oh, dragon. Maybe we'll kill the dragon this time. Maybe we won't. I don't know. All I know is that I need to get a little bit closer, I think. Oh, Cassandra, don't be dead. I'm gonna wake you up. It's fine. Cassandra, get up. And pause for a moment. Cassandra, you're gonna have to use your healing potion. Oh my goodness. I just want to point out that we are all not in the best location in our life. That's all. It's the only thing I want to say. I hope we make it through this one. I feel like she didn't use her potion. Or we all died real fast. No, she didn't use her potion. I told her to use her potion. Whatever. Confirm. Nope. Poor Cassandra. She does. She has brain damage. It's really upsetting. Alright, I have tried to get her to use her healing potion, and she has not done it, which is really unfortunate. And I need to go over here. Oh, but I need to go away! Let's see. I also need to find her body. Like, this is all really terrible. Pause. Hey, Dorian, take that last healing potion, so you don't die immediately. That would be great. Thank you. Oh! Folks, like, we've got the dragon, like, we are doing damage to it, but this is rough. Where is Cassandra's body? That's the front leg. I wonder where Cassandra's body is? if I could find it, maybe I could bring her back. But, the hosting didn't work. Oh! Oh! Tell me, yes, that's right. Is this... Yeah, there's Cassandra's body right down there, right by the dragon's head. Awkward. Don't know about this, my friends. Yes, everybody's dead, I get it. I will try... Nope. Nobody's going to hit me. I don't like it. Cassandra, wake up. And then... Dorian. Wake up. And then Cassandra. Wake up. Ugh. Cassandra, you've got the healing potions. You need to wake up. Okay, pause. Wait, is she dead again? No, she's not dead again. Okay, this is good. Okay. Cassandra needs to use the healing potion to heal us both. It didn't hit me because I was running around like a crazy person. That's alright. I will wake up Dorian. Oh my gosh. Okay. This is bad, but the dragon is really injured. So I will just say that, right? The dragon is very injured, even though this is not a good situation that we're in. Here, take some bees. I know, this looks really tough. I think that maybe we need some slightly different things before we go up against it, but, I need to not be here right now. I also need to wake up everybody else. Cassandra, wake up! Before it's too late. Iron Bull, wake up! Like, this is a lot of, people dying slowly. That was us. We all died. Oh, no! Alright, folks, we learned there's a dragon here. We also learned this is not the time for us to take on dragons. We're not going to go there. We're going to go somewhere else. Because that dragon is not ready for us. Like, we're going to go to the non-dragon place, and come back to this dragon later. I feel like that's fair. I think we need, I don't know, maybe some better armor? Or, some better weaponry? Perhaps? I think we're just not in the space where we can kill that dragon just at this moment. But that's okay. We will get it later. Like, it will be okay. Oh. Little rough, though. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Oh my goodness. So, alright, they went to, here's my question for you, Dema. Why did they decide to take on, all of those people? When they were near dead, what was their motivation for taking on that fight when they were not prepared? That is what I would like to know. Also, I don't know if you saw, but I died in a mighty way. We will come back here. We've got like a couple of dragons that we are not ready to face because they are big, dangerous dragons, and we will come back for them later. Yeah, so what happened? Why were they motivated to attack those people? They didn't think they could run. Oh. Ah. Yeah, that can be a problem. Let me look at this map for a moment. primeval red. Yeah, so we've got some red lyrium we still have to destroy. It's very, okay, you're bringing up an interesting RP conundrum, and that is that very often players don't think they can run. It's a bit of a problem, but it comes from D&D, right? Where in D&D you just attack things, right? And you don't run and you don't surrender. And I think it's like a D&D habit, and it's a bit of a GM conundrum. How do you impress upon your players that actually... Oh! Sorry. Don't run off that way. How do you impress upon your players that actually this is a... You can run, and also you can surrender. I know, we had no idea. Investigate the surroundings. Whoop! And I think... I mean, sometimes you can actually just tell them that, hey... But for me, I would not tell them in the battle. I would tell them before the game starts that, these things are possible. But I also think that having adversaries run away helps, right? I think that it's important to model the behavior you want your players to see as possible by having NPCs do it. So you can have NPCs run away. You can have NPCs surrender. And if you show them that this behavior is possible in the world, then they start coming to think of it as something that they themselves can do. Yeah. It is, I think it's rough, because although sometimes, yeah, no, I think it's really important. I mean, it's like this, if the NPCs always fight to the death, then the players are always going to fight to the death. And a lot of times people are not that invested, right? You know what I mean? Like, let's see what we have here. The NPCs. I was thinking about surrender and how rarely GMs have NPCs surrender. When there are a lot of NPCs who would, right? I mean, especially if they are just getting paid for this. And I think it's important and good to model that so that people can see that these things are possible. Let's see. The PC, sure. I'm going to assume that's murdered before. That is what I'm going to assume that statement is. Small room, do you mean... imagines throwing a string of grenades and slamming the door. Cop put down his gun when he saw his buddy had an axe in his shoulder and dropped. Yeah. I do. I think it's important to not expect the players. Also, okay, I will also say this. Sometimes what you need is a TPK. Now, I never want there to be a TPK. I never aim for there to be TPK. But sometimes players do things that will get them killed, and depending on the situation, sometimes that can be a learning moment. I was running a father's letter. This letter never reached its intended recipient. My dearest Vanilla, how are you? How is your Aunt Caitlin? My dear girl would never give trouble, I hope. How are your studies? Perhaps you could read some of this letter to her, to show her how much you're learning. I'm sorry to have been away for so long. I have a duty. Remember when Mother was very sick and she asked you to fetch her water and you did it because you loved her? It's like that. Sometimes we have to do difficult things because they help other people that we love. The country is ill and I have to try to make her better. Don't worry, I'm not alone here, and now we have special medicine that will make us stronger so we can fight better. It won't be long till all the mages are gone and we're safe again. I'll be home soon. All my love and prayers, Father. Two of the players are demoralized by cutting and running, not finishing the mission. But it was illogical based on the current situation. Yeah. See, this is the thing, right? Yeah, this is a bit of a D&D mentality where you think that unless you kill everything and get all of the loot, then you haven't quote unquote finished the mission. And the party was under a lot of strain from JFD to start murdering that store clerk. And it's one of the things that you like. It's lead by example in some ways. I think also consequences, showing that sometimes sticking around is not a good idea. Surface dwarves. In Orzammar, dwarven society is divided into rigid castes with houses that compete for power and prestige. But all that is discarded when a dwarf abandons the stone for the surface. Under the open sky, everyone is equal, or so the story goes. The truth is that thousands of years of tradition are not so easily tossed aside. Even though surface dwarves are officially stripped of their caste, many maintain a hierarchy among themselves along the old caste lines. Formerly noble houses are accorded more respect than casteless brands who come up in search of opportunity. The poorest noble dwarf on the surface looks upon their rich lower caste dwarves with contempt. Upper-class surface dwarf society is roughly divided into two camps. Kalnas, who insist on maintaining caste and rank. Actions have consequences. The techno was told, silent alarm triggered, troll goes in, kills clerk, troll exits, sees cops, didn't run, goes up and kills one. Wow! Whoa! That seems really bad. Typically those from noble or merchant caste families and ascendants who believe in leaving Orzammar's traditions underground and embracing life in the sunlit world. Maintaining some tie to the Orzammar was seen for generations as the only lifeline for surface dwarves. Bringing surface goods to their kin underground and lyrium and metals to the surface was not only the most lucrative means of making a living, but also a sort of sacred duty, as many surface dwarves willingly accepted exile and the loss of their caste to better serve their house or patron. It's not the team that's bad, it's just JFD. But took him back in. Now Troll has 20k bounty on head. Player 6 is looking to collect. Ooh. Who's JFD? I assume this is one of the characters. Is that the Troll? In recent years, many surface dwarves, particularly ascendants, have branched out. They started banks, mercenary companies, and overland trade caravans. They became investors and speculators in purely surface trade. These new industries have proven tremendous sources of wealth, but are looked down upon by the more conservative kin. Jelly-filled donut. I don't know if you made him starting over with a new character enough of an option. The Troll 1, PH's Troll 2. For less affluent surface dwarves, association with a powerful Kalna can open many doors. They can get credit with dwarven merchants and are offered work opportunities by the powerful Dwarven Merchants Guild more readily. Sometimes, the more qualified but less connected individuals. From the Dowager's Guide, Field Guide to Good Society, by Lady Alcyon. I totally whiffed that voice then. Got a new greatsword. So we have two trolls. Alright. I don't think it was the right voice for Lady Alcyon, however. But that's okay. We will work it out. That was my, like, informational voice. Like, you know, my info voice. Infomercial voice. Yeah, I think I will say. I mean, I was running this espionage game, and all the players had been playing a lot of D&D before they got to this game, which was in GURP, so it was deadly. And I told them this system can be very deadly, and I'm running it in a particularly sort of realistic way. You're right. I should not shame her narrator voice. You're right. You play Tychus, based on the SC2 character. I was in jail, got sprung by a mystery man. Now I have a bomb in my head and have to do whatever. Oh. I say quote-unquote nice. It's not nice. I mean, it's terrible, but that's a good character concept. Let's see. StarCraft 2. Ah. Thank you. Let's see. Hey, Ice Bunny, how are you doing? We are running around. We got killed by a dragon really badly. It was really good. I mean, it wasn't good. So, so we are not doing that right now. We're trying to finish up this area. There's red lyrium to destroy, I believe. And once we do that, we can go to a different location. Because there's some things we did not actually finish investigating. I feel... Oh, good! I'm glad that you feel better than yesterday. I hope you're taking care of yourself. That's really important. So that you know, can be good. And taking care of yourself can come in many forms, and sometimes those forms involve cupcake therapy. Because cupcakes are delicious. Alright, we are going to go this way. The thing is, the face and the techno have suboptimal builds. I talked to them about fixes. Well, but maybe, I mean, so the question is, right, I mean, here's the sort of the question about suboptimal builds. This is actually really interesting. The question of suboptimal builds. Let me, claim this. Darwin's Mouth. Built into the cliffs of the Storm Coast, the port at Darwin's Mouth once connected the Dwarven Tigers to the Waking Sea. In addition to increasing trade between the dwarves and their allies in the Tevinter Imperium, direct access to the deep roads meant diplomats from Orzammar could visit the port without fear of losing their stone sense. The site thus became a popular meeting place for ambassadors of the two nations. Paladin, I want to talk to you about this thought. This is really interesting. It's more the face has cyber combat, but no deck. The techno has low computers, etc. They have superfluous things. Let me finish reading this, and then we'll talk about it. It's very interesting. When Darkspawn incursions forced the dwarves to retreat into Orzammar, the deep roads leading to Darwin's Mouth were sealed, and the port fell into disuse. At least all reputable use of port ceased. Bandits, smugglers, and pirates are known to use various caves along the Storm Coast, including Darwin's Mouth itself, for their own gains. From The Storm Coast and Its History by Brother Vincent, Chantry Scholar. Like quick-draw holsters in their fists. I got bad news yesterday. My granny's health took a turn for the worse, but we talked a bit on the phone, and she sounded like herself. And Ice Bunny, you got cut off at the actually, I assume, because I'm on the PS4, so I can't read like the texts get cut off. So if you could finish that thought, that would be really good. And I'm really sorry to hear about that bad news. I hope your granny will do well, and that she's got good health care. And I will send her good vibes, because I hope that will be okay. Let's see what we have here. Let's save. If your character is supposed to be a master negotiator but has the worst negotiation in the group, that's suboptimal in any game. Well, but this is sort of tricky, right? Let's see, where are we? Let's look at our quest map. Because what is this? Oh, there's still red lyrium. We missed one. Hold on. We've got to go back in and get that one last piece of red lyrium that we missed somehow. I think it's tricky because there are people who... oh, all right. I think, but see, this becomes actually an interesting sort of conundrum, because a person may think of themselves as a master manipulator, but if they don't have the skills, then clearly they're not one, and that may be part of the character, right? I mean, this is where you have to sort of say, what are you imagining this character as being? Do you imagine them this way or that way? Now, if you're like... Now, there is a sort of a gamist way of thinking, and please note, I do not use gamist as a negative. That's a... Right, and if they say no, exactly, PH, and if they say no, and I think that there's like, so...
I take it your father returned to Tevinter, Dorian.
Let's hope so.
My father died when I was very young. I barely remember him now.
I won't say you're lucky, because that's not true. There are days.
I understand. You have my sympathy.
Aww. So, like, some things are just about understanding expectations. Let's see if we can find out where this primeval lyrium is. I only use it as a negative because Dema has said on several occasions that he wants to... well, see, what I would say is, like, so, for example, like, but I want to sort of talk about this idea of suboptimal builds. I think the idea of a suboptimal build, there are different ways of sort of thinking about it. And on the one hand, the idea of a suboptimal build can be gamist, which, again, I do not use as a negative, right? The idea that one should be optimized. See, let me say this. I want to make a distinction between suboptimal, the term, and ineffective, the term. You can be suboptimal, but still be effective at doing whatever that you're wanting to do, whatever that might be. You can be ineffective, but be optimized. Trying to find... Right, yes, right? So I think that... now, the idea that one must be optimized is in a sort of... the idea that one has to be optimized in some kind of objective sense, right? Like objectively, like, you're the rogue, so you have to be optimized to be the rogue. That's a gamist. That's gamist, which is not necessarily bad. Again, I want to make that point. And if you're playing a gamist game and you are not hyper and you're not optimized, that can be a real problem for the rest of the group. And but yeah, but again, but see, this is important. I have, like, one of my favorite characters, Gianni, the this way, I suppose we're going to go to find this thing. Gianni, the single father widower. Right, so, like, I'm going to sort of get on the sort of the, here we go. This is the one thing I was missing. So my, but is it? It depends on what you think being pointless is, right? So my favorite character, Gianni, I have a lot of favorite characters, but one of my favorite characters, Gianni, was the single father widower ex-cop, now private detective in a near future sort of game. It wasn't cyberpunk, because cyberpunk's a bit more dystopian. It was transhuman space, which is less dystopian. Anyway, I spent like 15 points, like 10 or 15 points, which is quite a lot of points, on the ability. Let's go to exactly. Let's go to the map, and let's go to the world map, and let's go to... Where are we going? We're going to the Hissing Wastes. Boom. Travel. Okay. But again, see, like there's a lot of stuff that's going on in this conversation that I think is important. So anyway, Gianni, this character of mine, he spent 15 points, which was a pretty decent amount of points. I can't remember if the starting level was 150 or 200. Um, well, Technometrics can't do cyber combat. They're connected in game, but it seems like a waste of skills for the moment. But if they're not capable of surviving the crunch of a game like SR and die promptly, is it pointless then? All right. So to finish my thought, so I spent 15 points on an advantage called Mars Adapted, and basically it's it's surgery you can get that allows you to breathe on Mars. That allows you to breathe on Mars without wearing a filter. So it allows you to just walk around Mars and
Have something for you.
be on Mars without being a filter. Now here's the thing about this. The game was not set on Mars. The game was set in Montreal, and there was no indication that the game would ever go back to Mars. Oh, the game would ever go to Mars at all. It was set in Montreal, and we did travel, but we never traveled to Mars. And so, if from a sort of a gamist point optimizing sense, you would say that it was completely pointless, suboptimal, and a waste to have this character spend 15 points on this advantage that would never come into play. Ever. Would never come into play. And like a more gamist point would say, like, why are you wasting those 15 points on this advantage that is never going to come into play, that is not relevant, that is a complete waste? When you could spend those 15 points on things that will help you be better at what you're doing right now in this game, which is being this sort of kind of the muscle for the group. But the thing is that I spent those 15 points on that advantage because that was true to the character. Before the game started, the character had lived on Mars. Before the character became a bit more reactionary and conservative, he went off to Mars with his family to be a marshal there, and had this sense of adventure, and was really excited about being in this really different place, away from his family, and doing these new things. And as a sort of sign of commitment to this life, he became Mars adapted so that he could just live there forever. And then his wife died mysteriously, and he was this single dad on Mars, and he ended up coming back to Earth so that he could be closer to his family, so he could get help with childcare and start this detective organization, which would be safer, right, than being a marshal. But so he came back home, and he could have gotten rid of the Mars adaptation, gotten surgery to get rid of it, and therefore would not have had to buy the advantage. But keeping it meant that there was a little part of him that still somehow thought that maybe he might be able to go back one day. Yes, Brave Star. There was that part of him that still could be adventurous, right? And he didn't, but it was a really important part of who he was as a character. It never mattered in the game, and for some people they would say it was a waste of points, but for me it wasn't a waste of points. It was really important for who he was. And, he still did his stuff, and it was fine. Now, for me, that is a thing of something that would be quote unquote suboptimal, but I don't think that was the most important thing. I think that what was important was that this had a purpose and it meant something. Now, on the other hand, let me get a report from this person.
This may be worthwhile.
Okay. So now there is an other hand. I think I need to do my potions for a moment. Oh, good. It looks like we're all maxed up on our potions at the moment, so that's fine. Now there is another. There's another situation that I think is important. Now there's okay. Let me transition to a slightly different scene in this case. So, for example, we want to head north. We're going to be doing all sorts of exciting things in the Hissing Waste, because I said we would, and now we are. We're going to head north. So the other situation is, GURPS is a point-buy system, and like a lot of point-buy systems, there are ways to be more or less optimal in your build, quote-unquote. right? And here's an example that this is like actually a really big discussion that I have with people actually quite a bit. So in GURPS, you spend a lot of points to raise your attributes, right? And there are 4 attributes: strength, intelligence, dexterity, and health. And strength and health cost 10 points apiece, and just for perspective, an average starting character in an average campaign is probably going to start with 150 points. Everybody starts their stats at 10 because 10 is your average, and everybody starts with average. And it costs 10 points to increase your strength or health, and it costs 20 points to increase your dex or IQ. One of the reasons why it costs so much to increase your dex or IQ is because your skills are based off of your dex and IQ. So, for example, an easy skill, an easy physical skill like guns, if you spend 1 point on it, then you get it at your... Heck, where are we? Well, we'll just keep going. If you spend 1 point on it, you get it at the level of your dexterity, right? So if I have dexterity 10 and I spend 1 point on firearms, I get it at 10. If I have dexterity 15 and I spend 1 point on firearms, I get it at 15. So right, that's... And just like a little bit of a detail, the first point that you spend on a skill is 1. So like in terms of point skill levels, it's 1, 2, 4, and then every level is then 4 after that, 4 apiece. So if you have a lot of skills, and it costs... If you have, let's say, 11 skills, each one would cost... And you want to raise each one. To raise each one, spending 4 points, that would cost you 44 points. Or you could just spend 20 points and raise your dexterity and raise all of them by 1. So that's more optimal. So there are a lot of people who say to be most optimal in GURPS, you spend all of your points on skills, on your attributes, and the fewest number of points on skills. And they would say that is an optimal build. And we get into these arguments a lot. Now, I don't agree. Fourth edition. It's the new edition. Well, new. It's been there. It's not that new anymore. But it's 4th edition. What are we looking at? All right, we're gonna go and get these shards. So 1 to the south. So here's the thing. It means something different narratively to have a dex of 15 and 1 skill point in 10 skills than it does in having a dex of 10 and a lot of skill points in a lot of skills. So what does the difference mean narratively? The difference narratively is if you have a dex of 15 and you have 1 point in a lot of skills, that means you have a lot of raw talent. Like, you're really, really dexterous, and everything comes easy to you, and you've not spent a lot of time, because the points and skills sort of represent how long you've spent studying that thing specifically. So having 1 point in a lot of skills and have a high dex means that you're really naturally talented, and things come easily to you, and you've sort of dabbled in a lot of things, and you're really good at them because you dabbled, but you don't have a lot of experience with them. You're very good, but you're not very experienced. If you have a 10 in dexterity, and you've spent 20 points, 30 points in a bunch of skills, that means you didn't start off being, like, you're not naturally talented or naturally dexterous, but you have worked so hard to get good at those things, and that's a different kind of a character. Those are 2 different characters, and I think that they're both viable concepts. One is theoretically more optimized than the other, but they both mean something different. So I think as long as your build means something, I think it's fair. This is very different, on the other hand, than a build that doesn't work because it comes out of misunderstandings of what is expected. So, for example, if in... this happened to me, actually, when I was playing Rifts, the one time I played Rifts. We were given a bunch of points. We all made characters. Myself and a friend of mine made humans. I was playing somebody who was, basically a face, and he was playing somebody who was basically like a James Bond, and we were humans. And we made these characters, and they were, like, good characters. Everybody else made these crazy OP sort of, like, giant monster cyborg excitements. And the thing about Rifts is that Rifts is one of those games that has increasing difficulties, sort of like D&D, where, like, this is a difficulty 10, or a difficulty 20, or a difficulty 50. And the characters we made were characters that could succeed at the difficulties that were said to be normal, right? If the Rifts book said this is a normal difficulty, we could succeed at those difficulties. Because everybody else had super OP characters, the Dungeon Master, or the Game Master, increased the difficulties on everything to be a challenge for them, which means that we could never actually succeed in any challenges. So this is a situation not where we made bad builds, but that the expectations of what the game was not clear. And in a situation like that, that's the fault of the GM for not sort of being clear about what their character concept or character build expectations are. And I think that it's like in that case, right, like our builds were totally ineffective builds. They were optimized builds, but they were completely ineffective because the Game Master was increasing the challenges to the point where we couldn't actually do anything in order to challenge the other players. So that was a situation where the GM should have talked to us before the game started to let us know that these characters were not going to be appropriate for this game. And so I think that there are ways in which you can have characters that don't work, but that's often, I find, a GM situation, right?
Greetings.
Ours shall be the burden of knowledge, to take into the earth and prove us worthy.
That's from the Chant of Light. Is that a thing? Do people go about reciting from it like that?
The righteous shall carry the Maker's word to every corner of his house.
Huh. There's a Chantry scholar here. Well, that's interesting. By the way, can I just take a pause to note how beautiful that moon is? And, like, the birds flying overhead, and sort of like the light sort of clouds in the background. Rifts is a terrible system because it allows characters of those power levels without there being any indication of what the power level, each OC. I think you might have got cut off. I think you might have gotten cut off. Oh, you gotta go! Grandparents! Oh! Hey, have fun with your grandparents! That's really great! Enjoy grandparent time. That's awesome. Thank you for being here, Dema. It's been so nice to have you here.
I think I'm drying out from the inside.
He doesn't like the dry weather. So I'm kind of excited about this location, because it's a new one that we've never been here before. But it also looks like there's some kind of cool statue. Oh, OOC, because it was only OC. I got occupation. Yeah. And this is true. I mean, I liked the concept of rifts. I was not exactly enamored with the system because of the way of exactly what you were talking about. Now let's see. There were 2 shards, and I wanted to pick them up. So one should be a little bit this way, maybe. Yeah. So I feel if there was some indication like Rogue Scholars are a DC 1 class, while Glitter Boys are a DC 5 class. Yeah, I agree, and I think that it makes it very difficult. I also think, if you don't mind me saying, that one of the problems is escalating difficulties, and I think D&D has it. Rifts has it. There are other games that do this wherein there's like a target difficulty number you have to reach, and so here's there's another person out here. Interesting. And the problem with target difficulty numbers is that there becomes like target difficulty inflation. Hello. Hi, everybody. Right, where as players get more powerful, I find that I think the setting is really cool. That as people level up, what ends up happening is that the difficulty ends up inflating in a way that becomes tricky. Or, yeah. And so, like, for example, and this, of course, I will tell you, I think this is, again, full disclosure, part of my simulationist tendencies where I balk at this because it doesn't fit simulations well for me. But, oh, there's a dead body here in chains. That seems less good. But where in the heck? So, let's take the lock, right? There's a locked door. And the game will say that a locked door tend to have, like, your average locked door has a challenge rating of 5, let's say. And first level characters have a really hard time opening your average door. And so they try really hard, they struggle, and then all of a sudden you're a level 15 rogue, and a challenge rating 5 is absolutely nothing to you. So all of a sudden, like in Oblivion, to open a basic door now is no longer a challenge rating 5, it's now a challenge rating 20. And all of the doors you come across are all challenge level 20s, because otherwise, I feel like it's probably up there. Let's see if we can find a way up there. Right, because you want to give the players a challenge, and so you challenge them by upping the difficulty on everything all the time. Because narratively that's more interesting, I suppose, would be the thought behind that. The only problem is, then you're in a situation where your average house has some kind of super lock on it. And that... right. This is the point, right? That I don't... like, that becomes something that doesn't fit with my believability anymore. That, like, you decide to go... like, if your level 20 people decide to go break into a person's house, why is the lock a level 20 lock? It shouldn't be. It should be level 5 lock. Because that is what regular house locks are. So, for me, I think that there's this tendency to sort of up the difficulty on everything all the time, and I don't, like, maybe narratively that's really exciting, but in terms of, like, my sense of verisimilitude, that doesn't work for me. So, for example, if there's let me put it this way. If you're playing in a game that I'm running, and there's a level 20 lock on some little old lady's house, you should be thinking, wait, something weird is happening. A thing a lot of people miss is that D&D becomes a superhero game around level 5. Yeah, no, that is totally true. Fitting the challenges to the players is It is. It can be a narrativist thing. It is certainly a gamist thing, but it can be a narrativist thing in the idea that, depending on what narrative you're trying to tell, and for me, like, I just think, like, I'll just tell you, if ooh, look at that, nice little mist happening. I'm just going to say that if you're in one of my games and you know that an average lock is a challenge rating 5, and average people have average locks, and you go to an average house and there's like a level 20 lock on that average house, that is an indicator that something strange is going on. It's not an indicator that I feel like you need a level 20 challenge. It means that that little old lady is maybe not a little old lady. Maybe there's something more to that story, right? And for me, that is what... yeah, right? Like, that is what... yeah, like, I basically want those things to be some kind of indicator about the world, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, I want, the little... but also, I'm gonna say, what little old lady can afford a level 20 trap, right? Most little old ladies cannot afford level 20 traps who are just like your average villager. if there's an average villager little old lady with a level 20 trap, there is something else going on with that little old lady, and maybe... I meant... But a rich... See, but then again, a rich little old lady is not going to be living in a shack. She's going to be having... And she probably will not have average locks either, because she's a rich old lady. But if you see, like, a shack in the regular average part of town... Hello, Cassandra. That little old lady is a Rakshasa. Jazz hands. Yeah, so I'm just saying that if that is the case, that you run around, you find a shack in a poor part of town that is, like, got the most expensive locks on it, you might want to ask some questions about that little old lady before you decide just to break into her home. That is just all I'm going to say about that. Right, and I think that there's something about, that you can do about, like, I think that's interesting. Let's see, we have a rift.
That
a lot of
is
creep.
a whole lot of nothing.
Are those lights in the distance? They may be campfires.
Let's have a look.
I think we need to deal with this rift first, actually. So, you know, there's that. Ooh. Yeah, now, of course, there are other ways, right? Like, there are other things that you can do where you're thinking about... Wait, boom. There we go. There are, of course, other ways of sort of interfacing with this at all, where, for example, you could think of... Like, you could sort of think of a narratives thing where, like, it's boring, right? Like, you might think of it as boring. Where... What do you guys... Ooh. Okay, monsters, here we go. Hey. Like, you might think of it as boring to not have, like, easy challenges. And so, like... Let me disrupt this rift. Oh, I got interrupted. I hate it when I'm interrupted. There we go. Okay. Right, so you might think of it as boring to kill easy things, and that's, like, not worthy of heroes. But I think it's, yeah, but for me, there are... So I can see it. Like, I think it's a valid approach to say that I want the heroes always to have a challenge. The only problem comes when you have mixed parties, like mixed level parties or mixed challenge parties. Let's close this rift. If you have a level 20 person and a level 5 person. Closed rift. A level 20 person, a level 5 person, and you're tooling everything challenge-wise towards a level 20 person, then that will be rough. Would you feel it unfair to say certain genres are incompatible with certain play styles? I think it would depend on how you're defining genre. I think it would depend on how you define genre. Oh, I can. Oh, I totally can. Oh, yeah. No, I can totally think of a simulation of superhero game. No problem at all. And I think it's because... and here's the thing about simulationism. I think it's really important to remember that simulationism doesn't actually mean realism. You can simulate all sorts of things. You can be a simulationist who wants to simulate four-color... Yeah, because you simulate the rules of setting. Like, you can be a simulationist who wants to simulate a four-color sort of Golden Age or Silver Age style comic book setting, in which case you would make sure that all the rules sort of fit in with that, and that all the tone fits in with that, and you would make sure that things sort of, like, you would sort of set up that sort of simulation. I mean, you can certainly have like a sandboxy simulationist four-color. I want to look at the map. That's not what I want. Map. there's another rift that's over there, which I think we can hit. Yeah, I think that, yes, you can certainly do a simulationist superhero game. I think that's no problem. Now, when it comes to so like if I think about superheroes, I think here's what I would say is interesting. I think that actually it's not difficult to. I think it depends on how you define genre. If you define genre with tone already, then that might be difficult. But so say for example superheroes. I am often not a huge fan of four-color superheroics. It's often not my thing. Like, I mean, it can be fine, but it's not my thing as much as other things are my thing. Exactly. But superhero stories vary immensely in tone. I love, for example, I am a big fan of sort of pulp superheroes, sort of low-level superhero styles. Like, I love that. Like, I love some gritty, low-level superheroics. That makes me super happy. But that's a very different style than, like, Superman of the 70s. All the new feminist ones are pretty light, for example. Yeah, right? I mean, like, there are a lot of different ways in which you can do a superhero. Like, 1990s Grimdark, very different vibe than, for example, some of the things that are happening right now. Is somebody going to bring back Cassandra? Because she's dead right now. And it would be really great if somebody brought her back. I suppose it's going to have to be me. It's fine. Cassandra, wake up! Yeah, so I just think it's one of those things where, like, you could play a simulationist superhero game, you could play a narrativist superhero game, you could play a gamist superhero game. I think... Boom. Excellent. I would...
for a wasteland, I'll give it that.
I would say that I think some genres are more often associated with some playstyles, but that doesn't mean that it has to be that way, but it does mean that people tend to associate that genre with that style, and so that tends to be what people assume. Let's head towards this camp over here. And so people tend to take that base assumption with them into the game. So, for example, dungeon fantasy, right? The fantasy, which is the fantasy style where you go into dungeons. Yes, exactly. Exactly. If you go into a Star Wars game, you're going to assume it's like the movies, and that's going to include certain things. Right, all swashbuckling lightsabers and space battles. Now, again, what I think is interesting is that I don't actually think this is about GNS playstyle, right? I mean, I think that you can do a GNS, you could do gamist, narrativist, or simulationist, and do swashbuckling Star Wars, right? In any of those three modes. That becomes like sort of assumptions about cinematic versus gritty, right? And now that Rogue One is out, I can say to people, hey, I want to run a game that's more like Rogue One, and people might know what I mean in terms of shorthand. I will say that... Oops, what did I just shoot? I don't even know. We don't care. I will say that, so Dungeon Fantasy, which is the style of fantasy where you go into dungeons, kill things, and take their loot, the style made popular by Dungeons & Dragons, back in the day has, I think for many people, the base assumption is that that is a gamist genre, right? That particular specific subgenre is, by its nature, a gamist genre. Gygax! But, I know. But although the assumption is that it is a gamist genre, you can certainly play it in a non-gamist way. And I think that Dungeon World, right, is a narrativist system, and that is like what Dungeon World is about. And that is, right, about doing dungeon fantasy in a narrativist way. So I think that even something like dungeon fantasy, you can do in a simulationist or a gamist or a narrativist way, certainly. It's just that I think people take those assumptions with them about what that genre is going to do. It doesn't have to be that way. But I will say, like, in the same way that people think about Vampire the Masquerade as being a really narrativist game, but you could just go full gamist murder hobo if you want to. I mean, I didn't, but you could. Like, it is possible. So I generally tend to think that you can probably do most genres in most GNS styles. Although some may have a stronger sense of expectation attached to them than others. Oh, hey, there's a slave here.
Don't hurt me, please.
I'm not here to hurt you.
Oh, thank Andraste.
Oh, can we... We're going to be freeing slaves, I think. Is I think what we're doing. I hope that random slave is going to leave. Once I set up my camp, they can go there. I think I freed him by talking to him, I hope. Like, just talking, like, conversation sets people free. Quest map. Alright, we are close to this campsite, which I think is good. Now, I suppose a follow-up question would be about talking frees the mind. Exactly. So I think we can maybe have a discussion about, like, cinematic versus uncinematic. Although, I actually think that you can probably do most genres either cinematic or realist. I mean, that there might be some that favor one side versus the other. But, I mean, you can do realist spies, you can do cinematic spies, you can do realist superheroes, you can do cinematic superheroes. And maybe most people do cinematic superheroes, but I think even in that sort of situation, there's a lot of flexibility there. Now, that said, I will come up with something, a different thing that I will say. And this is where I think Krellin's question about genre might be a bit more complicated, where I'm going to complicate my answer, and that is this. I'm using genre to say things like fantasy, science fiction. Exactly, right? Exactly. So I'm using genre for those sorts of things. I will say that some people... Okay, let me put it this way. Game systems, I think, can be heavily skewed towards either gamism, narrativism, or simulationism. Like, there are game systems where that is the entire point, that they are doing one of these things or the other. And that is what they are out to do. Now, game systems are not genres, but some people conflate the two. So, see, look at this. This is a slave cage. Like, I think there's nobody in here, but I don't think the hissing wastes are great. I think there's, like, a lot of badness in the hissing wastes, is what I want to say. Let's see. We're heading toward this camp. How close are we? We need to keep heading west and a little bit south. West and a little bit south. So I think that there's a way in which, for example, I think that some people think of Dungeons and Dragons as its own genre, when it isn't its own genre. Dungeon Fantasy is the genre, and you can play Dungeon Fantasy in more than one system. Yeah. There? Maybe? Ooh. We discovered the canyon. That's exciting. I don't know what is in the canyon, and I hope that there's a statue. South-ish. This way. Now, I think that, I mean, I would say Dungeons & Dragons First Edition was, like, super gamist. Like, that is what the system was. Can you do simulationist things in that system? Yes. Can you do narrativist things in that system? Yes. Yes, you can. The system itself, however, was not set up to encourage that, is what I would say. You can fight against the system and do it anyway. Okay. But I think that one has to recognize that that particular system is set up, you know, to do that. In the same way that Bluebeard's Bride is a narrativist, it's a narrativist system. I suppose you could force it to be a gamist thing. It would be hard to do because that's not how it's set up, although you could try, and, you know, I think it's possible. It's just that, yeah. So I think that some systems, it's harder to do one thing versus the other. You're working against the system to do it. But system isn't genre, right?
Nothing to report, sir.
Even if the system invented the genre, it's not the same thing. So, for example, I'm thinking about Deadlands, Weird West. That particular sort of thing, one might sort of conflate Deadlands, the genre, with Deadlands, the system, but they're not the same. What is this? Inspect requisitions. Feminist horror. No, she didn't call it feminist horror. She called it feminine horror. She called it feminine horror, which is sort of like gothic horror. So the question is, could you do a gamist feminist horror? Yeah, I'm certain you could. I think you certainly... I mean, I think you certainly could. Especially since there are varying ways. Because I don't think there's anything sort of inherently... So, like, I mean, basically, feminine... Yes. Feminine horror, right, if you think about sort of gothic horror, is about... is often about the domestic sphere, right? So you're going to think about classic... these classic things like Rebecca, or... what's that one? It was by what's-his-face? Usually, like, you're in a big, scary house, you're a woman, you're stuck there, and terrible things are happening and no one's believing you. That usually sort of tends to be part of the genre of the gothic horror, the feminine horror. I wish I could remember the name of that film that just came out not that long ago. What was it called? It was by this sort of big director. Oh, I'm sure you all know what I'm... Oh, look, we set up camp right by this other camp of bad guys. Well, that seemed like a dumb idea, but whatever. That's cool. We'll do that. We think that's a good idea. I wish it was the name of a house, I think. I wish I could remember, but I am not remembering. Does anybody remember the name of the film? Nobody. I'm not being very articulate, so there's no way you can remember the name of the film. It was a film about this woman. She goes to... I didn't see the film. But she marries a guy, but she can see ghosts. And, like, she's seeing ghosts all over the place at this house. Oh, gosh. Huh. I wish I could remember the name of this. We need at least 1 point... I know, this is really bad. Krellin, I totally get that I'm not being... Okay, so the director was... I think it was the director who did Pan's Labyrinth. I feel like it might have been the director who did Pan's Labyrinth. And it was... We want to head north? So I feel like it might have been that director. I may be wrong. Super gorgeous. Was it Kate Winslet, maybe? Maybe not. And she basically sees ghosts, and she's married this guy, and she doesn't know whether the guy is sinister or not, and the ghosts, or if the ghosts are sinister or not. And... I feel like it was the name of the... Crimson Peak. Crimson Peak was the name of the film. Right, so Crimson Peak is like a modern version of that particular genre. What else? Crimson Peak. Yep, that was the one. And thank you, Krillin. Like, I knew I could, like, pull some information out of my addled brain somewhere. Like, Crimson Peak is one. You saw her this weekend in this weird movie with Harvey Keitel about cults. Oh, that sounds interesting. Oh, we are so close to a possible campsite. I bet the campsite is...
No Qunari would accept a Tevinter mage so easily, unless it was a ruse. When should I expect a knife in the back?
You ever use that fancy magic of yours to burn down a dormitory full of kids?
Not today.
Then I wouldn't worry. A lot of other people need a knife in the back first.
Oh, it was, thank you, it was directed by Del Toro, but I got the cast entirely wrong. Who was in the cast? Begwan, what a catnap. Crit Witch reporting for Fox Ulcer. Wah! Been lurking to not interrupt the Goethe RPG discourse. Lurking is great, and, so there, we have a campsite that is probably at the bottom of this canyon, which I'm not going to jump off of because then I would just die. So we won't do that. Welcome to duty, Crit Witch. Welcome to duty. So who? Here's the question: who is in the cast of Crimson Peak? Since I. Oh, it was a cat moat. Oh, nice. I cannot see them on the PS4. Ah, Jessica Chastain, Tom Hiddleston. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Krellin. I was conflating Kate Winslet with Jessica Chastain. And I am sorry for that. But that's right, it was the Tom Hiddleston movie. So there's this big, huge canyon, and I want to get down there, but I don't know how. So let's travel this way. Because we will find cool things in the meantime, I suspect. That's right. And then, so like that's this, it's often sort of, often being about being in closed places, and not being, there was a movie starring, Leonardo DiCaprio, where he goes into a mental institution to investigate, and people don't believe him either. Like, I wonder if you could call that feminine horror. You might be able to. That's entirely possible. Let's send a jar of bees over there. Let's just do that. Sending a jar of bees. Shutter Island! Yes, Krellin. Thank you. Thank you very much. That's exactly what I was thinking about. Shutter Island. Like, you might be able to make a case for that being feminine horror. And I would also say, just for, technicality purposes. Ooh! I have a good dinner. That feminine horror... Oh my gosh. Hi, everybody. There are a lot of creepy things running around being a problem. That I would say that... Yes, the only problem is that I don't have access to Google right now, which is the worst. So what I would say is we can close the script. It's so good. There we go. Thank you, Krellin. I appreciate it very, very much. What I would say is that feminine horror is not the same as feminist horror, right? So feminine horror is another term, especially the way that Strix is using it. Now, her thing may also be feminist, right? But feminine horror, what is that to the north and east, is not the same as feminist horror. Feminine horror is basically another way of saying gothic horror, really. And it's a particular sort of genre, which could or could not, it might not be feminist, it might be, it might not be. Whereas feminist horror would be something different, right? Where it's trying to sort of deal with gender in different kinds of ways. But yeah, I mean, I think you could probably do a feminine horror that was like, so here we are, and I feel like I don't think I yet have the trick to this location. And I feel like it's all about trying to get down into this canyon where things are. So let's see, where are we traveling? Yeah, so there's this, it looks like this huge canyon here. She might, but I don't know, actually. I mean, but I don't know. I don't know. Now, I mean, traditionally, here's the sort of conversation I would have about this, right? I don't know. We'd have to have the discussion. We might be able to get around the canyon if we go far to the west and then loop around. So let's try that. Never eat shredded wheat. So it's a question. I mean, traditionally, gothic horror, or what she's calling feminine horror, has centered around women, right? That's been a genre that women have been mostly involved in and had female characters. So one could make that argument. But if we're defining the genre as about this particular sort of situation that women historically have found themselves in and men have not, right? Because of women being sort of the home being the domain of women and the outside world being the domain of men, one could make that argument. But what would be interesting, though, to think about, right? Like, this is just a thing. I'm not committing to it, but I think it's an interesting thing to think about, is that Leonardo DiCaprio, as an actor, has been highly feminized. And maybe we're at a space where we can get down into this canyon. Peoples. Maybe. Let's see. Let's look at our map. Where are we? Oh, I think we can do it. Right, so Leonardo DiCaprio, as an actor, throughout his career, was highly, highly feminized. So the question... Now, he's been working really hard to sort of undo that, so he could get an Oscar. But there's a way in which that has been part of Leonardo DiCaprio's narrative. So if you have an actor like him, who has been highly feminized, and you place him within the same sort of tropes and settings as sort of gothic horror, feminine horror, can he then... sort of craft and create, can a film with him in that space be feminine horror? I think it might be possible. I don't know. I mean, I think we have to talk about it. It's a question I would be interested in thinking about. It's not one that I'm committed to one way or the other, right? I mean, one could sort of argue about the differences between, like, it might be possible. I don't know. I'd have to see it and see if it works. Right? Like, I'd have to see if it works. And it might not work. It might work. I don't know. So that's a question that's a question mark for me. I'd be interested in thinking about that. Like, it's a question actually I think about. Maybe there's a slave here we can free? Let's see. There is. Let's see if we can free this slave.
You're the Inquisitor.
I know. You thought he'd be taller.
Hey.
The Inquisition can protect you. Think you can find our camps?
I think so, Master Kunari. Thank you.
Oh, good. We are indeed rescuing these slaves. I'm feeling good about that. Okay. So it's a thing that I think it's a question to think about, right? Like this may be a thing. I don't know. We have to think about it. We're going to be heading north and east. It's like when so it's like, for example, the term diva. I teach a class on black divas, and we do 13 divas, and of the 13, 12 of them are women, and one of them is RuPaul. And there is a bit of a question about, right, can men be divas? And generally speaking, historically, men are not called divas, they're called geniuses. Maybe troubled geniuses, but they're called geniuses and not divas. And so, when a man is called a diva, often they're doing something sketchy towards that man, right? It's often some kind of way to diminish them or feminize them in some sort of a way. And so there don't tend to be a lot of men who are called divas or acknowledged as divas. They tend to be geniuses. Oh, hello. And that's like this sort of moment of terminology where two people doing similar things are often called or understood to be different. And it's interesting that the few men who do get to be called divas tend to be gay men, which is like a feminized position. So then we think about what does that mean, and all right. Right, so the thing, of course, is it's a thing to think about. Like, what does it mean that this label is less used against, with... and of course, the corollary is that women are less often called geniuses and more often called divas, right? So, like, there are these sort of terms that are being used, and they have some kind of gender disparity in them, and we can think about that and what that means. And on one hand, I think it'd be easy to say, well, of course, men can be divas. Why couldn't they be divas? I mean, they can have all the qualities that people associate with divas. We can sort of phrase it that way. But they're often not called divas, and they often themselves don't claim that term. What is this? And so we can sort of think about that disparity of language usage. So what does this mean for the feminine horror genre? It's a good question. I don't know if stories with male protagonists can be classified as feminine horror if they otherwise meet all of the genre requirements. I think it's a
Tell
thing.
me, Cassandra, did your family throw suitors at you?
My uncle did, waves of them, until I broke one's arm. Then there were fewer.
I must admit I never tried that.
It was an accident. Well, mostly an accident.
It's a term that started in opera, but you can be an opera singer and not be an opera diva, right? So it's for a certain kind of. It was used for certain kinds of women who got certain levels of fame and creative control. So it wasn't for. Not for all singers, and often with certain types of singers and not other types of women singers. But then it then is then used for other women singers. Let's take this book. What is it? It's a short note from Harmonym. Marina, I'm returning to the main camp. Don't linger past sunset. We're working by torchlight past dark when a horde of spiders poured out of the canyon's rocks. There are Red Templars on patrol, but the Overseer wants us to go faster. If the Overseer wants us to go faster, he should ask the wretched brutes to guard us while we work. We already have few enough Venatori after the disaster at Redcliffe. Something the Red Templars have taken pains to remind us about, I've noticed. Are all Templars in the south this haughty? Harmonym. Oh, so here's the sketch of the canyon tomb. Maybe we can get something out of that. Also, some of our people are a little injured. Here's another thing to take. Let's take it. A sketch of the burial grounds tomb. So it looks like we've got some tombs we need to investigate. What do we have here? Quest map. Where are we at? I think... Can we make it? Oh, there's a question mark up here. Let's see if we can find our way there. So, Dwarven Dragon Statuette. Interesting. Right, so I think that the ways in which we use terms is very interesting, and so I am not going to just say, why yes, men can be the protagonists of feminine horror. But I think that if we're thinking about feminine horror being about being confined to the domestic realm, being feminized in certain ways, not being sort of being trapped in the domestic realm, not being believed in certain ways, people thinking of you being hysterical when you sort of bring up concerns, then I think... Oh, Venatori Canyon Camp. Then I think it is possible, although we'd have to think about it, really. Hey, what do you think's in here?
We should look around.
Okay, let's do it. Hold on a second. I think you need to take a healing potion. Okay, we're gonna go in this cave and see what we find. That's all. Yeah. Oh, hold on. There's something here to find. I feel like it's this. No? Oh, I think whatever it is probably outside, so we'll catch it on the way out. Ooh. There's some bad guys hanging out. And we're going to kill them in an exciting way. There we go. That's great. Let's see. Volcanic Aurum. Alright. So, I don't know, but I think it's interesting. Like, I think actually it's a very interesting question. And then, if we did have... let's say we had a feminine horror. Although I wonder what Strix would say, because Strix does have the Animus as one of the characters in Bluebeard's Bride, sort of talking about the masculine side of women, sort of acknowledging that there's both masculine and feminine in both people, so for all I know, she might be super down with the idea. I don't know. And as a matter of fact, here's something that's interesting. I don't have Bluebeard's Bride yet, because it is not out yet, although I did kickstart it, but I do know that there are some alternate... there are alternate settings that are possible, and I think it would be interesting to see what those alternate settings are. Now, Bluebeard's Bride itself may be feminine horror and also about a female protagonist. That is also possible. Wanting to explore that. So it might be a feminine horror and also feminist horror. That is certainly possible. But I also think, yeah, so that is just a question that I do not have an answer for at this moment, and we have something to read. Journal on Dwarven Ruins. By whom? We don't know. Let's see. The inscriptions on the ruins are all in the... Oh. Okay. The inscriptions on the ruins are all in the old tongue. Thank you, grandmother, for teaching this ungrateful brat old dwarven. The writing talks about the sad parting from the stone. Hundreds of years ago, several houses left their tithes to settle here under one leader. They were running from a war, or running from so there wouldn't be a war? I'd read and reread the pillars until the light faded, but now I'm missing something. But I know I'm missing something. I'll go back tomorrow. I wish Felicity's sister hadn't talked her out of joining me. I could use an extra pair of eyes to keep watch at night. Alright. Okay. We've got some ruins. It's exciting. We have got things underground. I would like to know a little bit more about the hissing waste. It looks like... Oh, spiders. It looks like the hissing wastes are... ruins? Right? Places where there have been, like, old dwarven ruins, maybe? It also looks like it's a place where slavers and no-goodniks hang out. It's also super open and without a lot of markers, but I suppose that's also part of it. So let's see what we can find. I feel like there's another campsite for us, and that's something that could be interesting. Let's take some more stuff. I'm hoping I can build some... I need to get some tier 3 armor things, is what I need to do. So that I can get better armor, so that we die less? Oh, what is that over there? Do you think that's a bad guy? It is a bad guy. It's okay, we're just gonna go and kill this bad guy, who... I killed the wrong thing. Bad. No good. Oh, there... Looks like we got Venatori, got Red Templars, got some villains hanging out. Yeah. Okay, alright, well, we cleared out this camp, and there don't seem to be any slaves here, so... But there's a lot of weird stuff here. I don't know what they're doing. What do you think they're doing? We'll find out. We are really close to a camp location, it looks like. Oh, right down there. I see it. Let us set up this camp. And then I think we'll be... I think that's good. I think that's good for us. Set up camp. Aha!
Tory hiding everywhere in this desert?
It looks like it, and that is
Nothing to report, sir.
not great. So, where are we at? Oh, we have a lot of campsites to make. Well, we can, why don't we... There's a lot of stuff here. Maybe, I wonder if this place isn't as big as it looks. It looks like maybe it isn't that large of a location. Maybe just hard to navigate. So let's try to close that rift up there and see if we can do that. That might not be... Well, it's alright, right? Quest map. Let me look one more time, because I'm paranoid. North and east. Yeah. Okay. We're heading this way, and we will hopefully... I also want to go back to Skyhold and head to my bedroom, because apparently there's something there for me, and so I want to go check it out. There we go. And so we can see what's going on. And, like, it's almost 3, so I feel like we can probably maybe get rid of this. Kill some bad guys. And disrupt some rifts. Which is all goodness all the time. I hope my friends are killing people. Because right now it feels like they're not. And I would like them to be helping me. Why are you not... There we go. I was like, where are my friends? They are not anywhere close to me. And that is distressing. They left me all alone with bad guys. There we go. Okay. I'm gonna go stealthy. And I'm gonna disrupt this rift again. Because I like to. Makes me happy. Oh. Okay. And then I will help my friends kill things. Because, you know, that's what I like to do. There we go. I am slowed. Ooh. Let me go and disrupt that rift again while we are at it. I think we're close. Okay. We will be okay. This will be alright. Oh, yeah, but I also wonder if we had a male protagonist in a feminine horror, how that male protagonist would be treated. Considering sort of the narrowness of... So, here's a thing, right? This is a thing to think about, to ponder. I don't know if any of you have played Silent Hill 2, which is my favorite Silent Hill. I think it's great. I love it. I think it's awesome. No, not Silent Hill 2. Silent Hill 1. Silent Hill 1. So Silent Hill 1, which I haven't played because it was PS only, and I did not have a PS at the time, is all about, right, this guy, Harry, something or other, maybe? Anyway, he's looking for his daughter who's missing. And he's running around in a scary situation, being, because it's a survival horror game, being chased by monsters, and trying to find his daughter, and being scared and running away a lot, and all of that. Now, they made the Silent Hill movie, which I liked on one hand, but they changed the protagonist from the father to a mother. So instead of having this sort of male figure who is worried about his daughter and trying to find her and running away from monsters, being scared a lot, they made it a woman who's trying to find her daughter and who's running away from monsters, being scared a lot. And I was reading an interview with the director about why he made this change to the video game, and what he said was that American audiences would never believe or accept, right, a man, A, being that scared and frightened and running away a lot, and also caring that much about his daughter, which is just so horrible. Like, that's just terrible, and that's because we've sort of taken child care, and feminized it, and sort of made it not masculine, and so therefore it's just like this sort of really narrow, toxic idea of what masculinity is, and they did not feel as if it would be quote-unquote believable for a male figure to do those things or have those feelings, which is just so tragic and terrible and awful. And I hope we can get into a space where we can let those things go, but because of that kind of attitude, I would not be surprised if it would be difficult for audiences to accept feminine horror with a male protagonist. That is what I could... So the Venatori are all over this place. That is what I could imagine being a situation. Not that I approve of that situation in any way, but I could see that being... Right, ooh, hi, oops, bad guy. Silent Hill 1, and then the film. So there was the video game Silent Hill 1 with the male protagonist who was then, right, searching for his daughter. And then there was the film where they changed the male protagonist to a female protagonist because the director did not believe that anyone would buy it or believe it. Which, you know, it's a real bummer. And I hope that our society gets better. I really do. Because that would be nice if society gets better. Oh, hey, we can free the slave. This is really good.
Don't hurt me, please.
I'm not here to hurt you.
Oh, thank Andraste.
Cullen's got those trebuchets for the assault on Adamant. Hey, Sika, think he'd mind if I borrow one? Just for an hour or two.
Why do you need a trebuchet?
Kremso's a bit. He made these stuffed nugs with wings. I want to see how far they can fly.
I don't think that's an appropriate use of Inquisition resources.
See, this is why you're not in charge of morale.
Ooh, yummy dinner time. I know, I only have like 10 minutes left in game before we go. So I just want to, close this rift. And do you think he was right when changing it? I mean, there are good games about dad saving daughters. Well, see, the thing is, I think that he was basically saying that because he didn't change, the game wasn't changed, the movie based on the game was changed. And, right, I think his position is that movie audiences are more conservative. Well, so let me be more specific. American movie audiences are more conservative than Japanese game players. And I don't know if he's right. I would like to think that he's not. Do you know what I mean? Like, I would like to think that that is not the case, and that audiences are better than that. But I don't know. It totally is. It totally is. I mean, I really do. I would like to think that audiences are better than that film audiences are better than that, and that he was just... He didn't give them enough credit. But I don't know. And I think that's a... Like, I tend to be a bit more hopeful and optimistic about these things, you know? Like, I really do. I tend to think better of people, and I tend to be more hopeful about opportunities and possibilities. And I also think that you have to try. You know, because here's what I will say. So often, people say things about audiences. Yeah, the test audiences didn't like it. Yeah, and the thing is, yes, right. I think this is also... Yeah, I mean, like, and I'm with all of you on this one, right? Like, I also think that sometimes people are more nervous, right? Because films are so expensive. But, like, they say, for example, that nobody will watch movies without, like, a straight white, super masculine, tough guy as a protagonist. But then they make movies that don't do that, and then those movies do well. Then they seem to forget that that happened. Like, we could have other kinds of movies, and I think that producers get really nervous, and they don't take those risks and they don't take those chances, and then we end up getting the status quo. But I actually just have a bit more faith in people. I think that if the thing is done well, that I think that people will see it. I mean, Wonder Woman is doing really well in the box office right now. I haven't seen it yet because my life is sad. By the way, right now I want to just find one of these camps and establish a camp and then go. Go back to base. That is my goal. Like, I tend to, and this is where if people, right, I don't know, I tend to be, like, to be honest, at my base, I'm a pretty optimistic and kind of Pollyanna kind of person that believes the best in people, in humanity as a whole. And yeah, there are really crappy people out there as well. There's some people who are horrible and not nice, and there's cruelty in the world, and there's ugliness, and there's also badness. But I do believe that core belief is that humanity as a whole are good. And I think that if you make good media and you keep making it that is a little bit different, that it will eventually take hold. It might take a little bit of time to get there, but I think that it will happen. So, like, I think if you want to make, like, I've not got to see a lot of movies recently, but I'm excited about seeing a lot of movies when I get to. But I've been told that the protagonist for Fantastic Beasts and How to Find Them is like a cool dude with like a non-traditional masculinity, and I think that movie did well. And I just think that you just keep making the stuff, like make the art that is in your heart that you think will be good and useful and valuable and positive, and you know that you tell those stories, and that I think people will come around. At least I hope they will. Because the point is, like, you just want to have a variety of media, right? You want to have different kinds of things. You want to have different kinds of men being represented and different kinds of women being represented. Right, like, so I just think, give it a chance, and people may surprise you, is what, in a good way. People may surprise you in a good way, is what I mean to say. Not in a bad way. So I tend to be hopeful. These guys are sort of creepy. Why are you guys being so creepy? Okay.
Another blighter falls.
We have gotten them. Alright. So it looks like our Venatori are looting dwarven materials, and I don't know why, but it's probably part of their evil plan. Do you hear chanting? Look, I'm just trying to get to this last location right here, which is more east. Going this way. Look, I'm hearing... Okay, look, I want to just go this way, but I'm hearing chanting, and it's very distracting. Do you hear it? Like, I heard chanting. And if there's chanting, I want to know what it is. What is that? Alright. We gotta look into it. We have to look into it. There's a lot of stuff and we gotta go. We're not gonna look into it. We're going to just go to that campsite over there. And we're gonna make camp and then go back to Skyhold. That's what we're gonna do. Don't leave us, trooper, don't leave us. That's the chanting. That's alright. That's okay, chanting. Today's my Call of Cthulhu game, and so after this I've got to eat some lunch, a late lunch, and then get ready for my Call of Cthulhu game. At the moment, all of our characters are hiding in a hotel. Okay, just a little bit more east, and then we will find it. Yeah, we're in trouble. There are bad guys who are not good people, and they are out to get us. Evil cultists who are also really rich and have connections with all of Seattle. And we need to... We're in hiding at the moment because they know where we live. So it's a little awkward. Let's see. I think we're very close. Actually, you know what's surprising? I am hungry. I bet everyone else is hungry too, eh? So let's see. Oh, stuff. More loot. Love the loot. Yeah, I know. So, I mean, it's basically, throw a shoe at the bad guys. That will confuse them or insult them depending on their culture. That might work. It's just that they're really, really rich. They're friends with, like, the superintendent of the police. It's not good for us. Oh, Paladin, what did you eat? Yay, Dema! You're back just in time for us to basically almost be gone. So we have just made this last camp. Welcome back. You know, I wonder if the hissing waste just isn't that big. That's really interesting. So we're going to, it doesn't look that big. Oh, gnocchi. Ooh, pH. That sounds really delicious. Hissing waste. We've got to make some more stamps. Not stamps, sorry, camps. But let's go to Skyhold. Crestwood, Skyhold. Trapped with a location. Oh, you know what I think I forgot to do? I think I forgot to give my people, missions. That's alright. We're going to do one last thing before we go. We're going to go, to my bedroom. Oh, and maybe set up our tower. Because I think there's a tower we can do something with, which might be exciting. So we've got like a... Oh, gnocchi's good. Gnocchi's good. I've been really grooving. I've been having these. I've been making sandwiches for myself recently, like kind of decadent sandwiches, like turkey breast sandwiches with like brown mustard, mayo, pickle relish, tomatoes, lettuce, and cheddar cheese, and it's on like a whole wheat bread. So delicious. It's been really good. Okay, we have got one... I know, decadent is such a fun word! Alright, we are going up here. I know I've got a tower thing that I can customize, but I will figure that out. Alright, let's go to my room. Good food.
Worship.
Good food is so good. I can't even handle how good food is. So these are my quarters. Let's go there. And we're almost done. Oh, it's me. Cutscene.
So, it's all very nice, this flirting business. I am, however, not a nice man. So, here is my proposal. We dispense with the chit-chat and move on to something more primal. It'll set tongues wagging, of course. Not that they aren't already wagging.
Oh my.
I suppose it really depends. How bad does the Inquisitor want to be?
Oh my goodness! It's our romance cutscene! I was not prepared! Oh my goodness. Forget it. It's about time. Can we slow things down? It's about time! We've been flirting for so long!
I thought you'd never ask.
I like playing hard to get.
And now?
I'm gotten.
Oh yay! Now, we are officially a couple.
I like your quarters.
Whoa, he's naked.
Do you now?
Don't misunderstand. I'm not suggesting we venture into mutual domesticity. I just like your appointments.
Ah.
Games
Not
almost
that I couldn't
never show
suggest some
that.
changes. Your taste is a little austere.
Wow. That is really surprising. Hey, Dragon Age, look at that. Change away, we'll say.
If you want to change things around.
No, that's not what I want. I'm curious where this goes, you and I. We've had fun, perfectly reasonable to leave it here, get on with the business of killing archdemons and such.
I bet you get Lady Butt. Also, side note, I have the stash already. I'm just going with a full beard at the moment, but I could totally... I have rocked, not the triangle, but like a strip to be a bit more D'Artagnan, but that is a look that I can do. Let's see. Is that what you want? Let's leave it here then. I prefer to keep this fun. I want more. No! I want to go and total settle down with Dorian.
I want more than just fun, Dorian. Speechless, I see.
I was expecting something different. Where I come from, anything between two men, it's about pleasure. It's accepted, but taken no further. You learn not to hope for more. You'd be foolish to.
Oh no! There is more.
This is more, Dorian. Right here.
Funny, I didn't recognize it then. Care to, inquisit me again? I'll be more specific in my directions this time.
Show off.
Oh, romance! Yay! Look at that. What a great cutscene. Yay! My friends, we're gonna have to go and talk to everybody, but not now. Now, where are we? Alright, this is how we get out of here, I think. Main hall. Now we have to go, because it's 3 o'clock. And I know, and I have, by the way, so romantic. I'm so glad that Dorian is, like, feeling good about himself, and, like, that's nice. I'm feeling happy about that. We are going to go to our war table and set up our advisors to do stuff, and then we're gonna go. Aww. That was very moving. I appreciated that very much. So now I have all sorts of, like, I want to pet Dorian on the head. What do we have here? I think actually we don't have a lot of quests for our people, so I think we can just send them to gather things, like gather cloth.
At your service.
And then gather leather.
Let's see what we have.
And then I think there's a gather metal around here somewhere. Although it might be on the other side. Because I actually think we are really good. Gather herbs. Well, we'll just gather herbs. Boom. Oh, there we go.
To work?
So they're all sent off everywhere, and we're gonna save, and that'll be the end of this session this time around. We died due to dragon fire again today, so that's gonna be maybe that'll be a recurring theme. We'll just go and die to dragons. Like, I feel like that could be fun. I also feel like we're getting more difficult dragons. Just for the record, I feel like we're getting more difficult dragons. That's all. So, I want to thank all of the battle buddies for being here and being part of the stream. I'm Trooper SJP, and if you've not followed, please do. That would be great. If you want to. If you don't want to, that's okay as well. But thank you all for being here. Everybody is great. I really appreciate it. I will see you all around on the various discords. So, for example, what is today? Today's Saturday. So tomorrow, which is Sunday, Random Twos, which is Lauren Bond, is going to be streaming her regular Sunday stream, I think. And you can go there. That's great. All throughout the week. Drunkly Romantic, you can find him. He streams during the day around like 11:30 Pacific time. And there's no lady but... Oh, interesting. I'll have to go and see what they do for everybody. So check out... I don't know when Muppet Aphrodite will be streaming next, but you should check her out. She's great. So check out Muppet Aphrodite, Drunkly Romantic. Check out Random Twos, Jackie Dash when she's streaming, and then of course the big sites, Hyper RPG, and also Geek and Sundry. So, I'm going to check them out and see how they treat the different romances between everyone. So check out all the people, and next Thursday I will be streaming 1954 Alcatraz, and I'm pretty sure we can finish the game next Thursday on the Mac. So next Thursday at 6 o'clock Eastern Time, I'll be here streaming on my Mac, and then we'll be doing a bit more Dragon Age the Saturday after that. So take care, everybody. Have a great time. I'm going to go eat I'm going to eat a delicious, decadent sandwich. And I hope you all eat well and have a good day. And I will see you all later. Okay? Bye, everyone. Ciao.